Legacy of the Wizard may be the most underrated game on the NES. Dare I say it's a hidden gem? While it's hard to say that any Nintendo game is hidden in modern times, this game is absolutely a gem. From the title and simple graphics, you might think that this game is an RPG like Final Fantasy, but you'd be completely wrong. It's actually a side-scrolling, non-linear exploration game where you must find hidden items to enhance your jumping ability or remove obstacles blocking off certain areas of the dungeon. If that sounds to you like Nintendo's Metroid, then you'd be spot on. Legacy of the Wizard is one of the earliest examples of the Metroidvania genre. Released in Japan in July of 1987, Legacy of the Wizard was originally titled Dragon Slayer 4, The Drawsley Family. We didn't get a lot of the Dragon Slayer games in North America or Europe, although we did get the spin-off Faxanadu a couple years later in 1989. The Dragon Slayer series was very popular in Japan. The first game, released in 1984, is often credited for being the very first action RPG. It featured all of the standard RPG elements, but uses real-time combat instead of the traditional turn-based style. If you like modern games like Diablo or even Skyrim, you have Dragon Slayer to thank for pioneering that genre. Dragon Slayer 2, Xanadu, sold over 400,000 copies, which may not sound like a lot by today's standards, but in 1985, that made it the best-selling PC game in history. Developer Nihon Falcom would later use many of the ideas in Dragon Slayer when it made its even more popular Ys series. Nihon Falcom knew that only making games for the PC limited its audience, so they ported the third Dragon Slayer to Nintendo's Famicom system in Japan. It was never officially released in English, but we finally got the fourth game in the series when Legacy of the Wizard hit Western shores in 1988. Legacy of the Wizard is an absolutely massive game. If you look at this familiar map of the Legend of Zelda overworld, you'll see it's laid out on a grid of 16 by 8 screens. Legacy of the Wizard is double that size, sprawling across a grid of 16 by 16 screens. For such an old game, it features an impressive level of depth. There are a whopping 5 playable characters, and each one is uniquely suited to play through a specific portion of the game's labyrinth. These characters represent members of the Drawsley family, a name created by combining the words dragon and slayer. The father, Zemin, can't jump very high, but he has the strongest attack. He can also use gloves to manipulate certain blocks. The mother, Maina, can use many magical items, one of which allows her to fly. The daughter, Lil, can jump the highest, but has the lowest attack power. She can destroy rocks with a mattock. The son, Roas, is mostly useless until the end of the game. Only he can wield the legendary sword and fight the final boss. Even the family dog, Pochi, gets in on the action. He's actually a monster in disguise, so the enemies don't damage him. Each character has their own theme music, and the incredible soundtrack was created by the legendary Yuzo Koshiro. Koshiro would go on to compose the music for Sega's popular Streets of Rage series. Despite all of this awesomeness, the game is criminally underrated. Crowdsourced rating site Ranker.com had it listed as the number 203 best NES game of all time, well below tons of games that could be considered shovelware garbage. And on IGN's top 100 NES games, it's not on there. I promise you that Legacy of the Wizard is a top 100 NES game, but I think the reason it gets overlooked is that it's misunderstood. The game does nothing to explain what you need to do. Instead, it depends on its instruction manual to do all of the heavy lifting. If you didn't have the manual back in the 80s when this game was released, there were no internet guides you could turn to for help. This game would have benefited immensely from just a single screen of text at the beginning of the game that would set up the story and explain the game's goals. Even if you did have the instructions, this game is far from easy. The massive maze is full of devious traps, impossible to find items, and bosses that can kill you in seconds. And when you die in the labyrinth, you lose everything you've found since the last time you chose a character. But what if I told you there was a way to easily build up money so you can buy whatever items you need? Or even better, what if I told you how to find almost all of the game's important items hidden in the labyrinth for free? And what if I told you there were secret strategies to easily defeat the game's most difficult bosses? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Let's get started. The most important thing to understand in Legacy of the Wizard is how to utilize the strengths and the weaknesses of the 5 playable characters. And of the 5, we really only need to focus on 4 of them because the 5th character, Roats, is not very good and is only used at the very end of the game. We're going to start out here by choosing Pochi. Pochi is the family pet, and while he can't jump very high and doesn't have a lot of range on his attack, he makes up for it because he doesn't take any damage from enemies. He can just walk through them, and he can even jump on top of them and use them as platforms if he wants to. Now you'll see I am killing the first couple enemies here. I want to build up some keys. You'll see in the top of the screen how many of each thing you have. For keys, I only have 2 right now, so I have 2 blue tick marks. And I will use a key whenever I open a treasure chest. So if I want to be able to collect any treasures, and there's also locked doors throughout the labyrinth, I'm going to need some keys. Now the game's going to help me out with that. If you have less than 2 keys and you kill an enemy, it will usually drop a key unless you're really hurting for like life or magic. The game will try to help you out with the random drops by giving you what you need if you're very low in a particular stat. So that's helpful to know. As we head over here to the right, just keep making your way to the right at the very beginning here. We're going to be able to get a whole bunch of money in a treasure chest right over here to the right, which is going to help us out. The money is used for staying at the inn, and you can see one right below us there. If you're ever low on life or magic, and magic fuels your attacks in this game, you can go to the inn and spend 10 gold to refill yourself to nearly full. Don't think twice about using the inn if you're low on anything. It's much better to use the inn than to die. If you die, you'll lose all of the progress that you made since you last visited the house at the beginning. Now you see you had to use an enemy to kind of jump up to that top brown platform here, and I just got a scroll item, which is making me move fast. Keep making your way to the right. You will need to break through a couple of blocks, and down here, we're going to get our first key item, the gloves. Only Zeman can actually use these gloves, and he can use them to manipulate a certain type of block that you'll find in the labyrinth. He can use these gloves to push these blocks, and he can even use them to manipulate the blocks into such a position that they can be used as stepping stones. And you can even jump on top of these blocks and slide them across the air, which will allow you to cover great distances over the ground, even if there's just an empty gap beneath you. So, needless to say, the gloves are going to be very important. The way this game is designed, is that each of the 4 main characters has a specific part of the dungeon where their talents will be most useful. So in Zeman's section, we're going to be using those gloves quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of block manipulation in his part of the dungeon. And at the end of each of those sections, you will find a crown item. So we need to find all 4 crowns, and once we find those, Roas will be able to unlock the Dragon Slayer sword, and we'll be able to finally fight the final boss, the Dragon Keela. Keep heading back here to the left and go down this ladder. Over here on the left we'll find another treasure chest, and inside we will find a very useful item, the crystal. The crystal is a consumable item that, when equipped, will warp us back to the house at the beginning of the game. It's very useful for being able to go deep into the labyrinth, grab any items that you need, and then get yourself out of there so that you can change characters, or at least save the game. You can't use any of the items that we've found so far because the only way to equip items is to go to an inn or be at the house at the beginning of the game. So right now we have no items equipped. Just keep heading to the right here. Remember, Pochi can go through enemies. There's actually a rock elemental enemy here, which is very annoying for the other characters. Now, that poison that you see there deals 5 damage to you if you pick it up, so try to avoid those when you see them. They're one of the only ways that Pochi can be damaged, aside from fall damage, and if you pause the game like I did there, you can actually avoid fall damage by pausing. Now, heading down to the right, you'll notice that the music has changed, and that's because we have entered a new section of the dungeon. This is Pochi's section. You'll need to clear that first door by using a key, and then head in here and head to the left across these ladders. Do you see that pink enemy in the background holding 2 swords? That guy is called an Ryu. He can't actually be destroyed with your magic attack, so that's one of the features of Pochi's dungeon here. These enemies do a lot of damage, and some of them can't even be killed very easily, so it would be very difficult for the other characters to get through here. Now, later on in the game, we are actually going to take a different character through here, but we'll have some extra equipment to help us at that time. This orange enemy, called a Prandy, has always reminded me of Blinky, the 3-eyed fish from The Simpsons. He will conveniently allow you to ride on him, and just push through this false wall at the top of the screen and open the treasure chest to grab another important item, the Power Fist. The Power Fist will make our magic attacks deal 4 times as much damage, so it's going to be very useful against the boss enemies in this game that have a lot of hit points. Unfortunately, it does make us use twice as much magic when it's equipped, so our magic attacks will take 2 units instead of just 1, but the trade-off is going to be worth it for sure whenever we're fighting some tough bosses. Now, Pochi has a natural attack of 3, and that ties him with the most powerful character in the game, Zeman, who also has an attack of 3. You'd think, whenever you equip Pochi with the Power Fist, he'll have an attack of 12. Well, unfortunately, Pochi cannot equip the Power Fist, which means that even the weakest character, Lil or Roas, which both have an attack of 1, when they're equipped with the Power Fist, they're going to deal 4 damage, and that's 1 more than Pochi can ever do. We're not going to use Pochi at all to fight the bosses in this game. This is actually going to be the last time that we're going to use Pochi for now. Keep following this path up, and at the top here we're going to hold left so that we make sure we catch that ledge on the left side. Pick up that key and keep moving to the left. You don't have to really attack any enemies, but it is important to know how to get out of the labyrinth in case you need to make any runs into the dungeon and you don't have any crystals to use. Keep coming over here to the left. At the far left of this room there's going to be a tall ladder, and that's going to take us back to the beginning. Also important to note, you see that picture with the woman's head on it? Whenever we get all 4 crowns, Roas will be able to use those portraits as sort of a warp point. Yep, so just come on up here, and we'll head back to the house, and we are going to choose Zemin, and we're going to equip him with the glove item that we found, and we're also going to give him the power fist. We don't really need the crystal right now. He's not going to need to warp out. We're actually going to go and get his crown. Work your way back into the labyrinth to this room where the dragon is. This is the crossroads of the game, so this is where I'm going to start each character's run from. Equip the glove and hold A and push to the left to move that block. And we're going to be doing a lot of glove action in here, so get used to using the glove. If you want to collect this treasure chest over here to the right, it will refill our magic. And watch out for that meta black enemy in the bottom. Head up to the right across this room. And over here we're going to grab another treasure chest. Try to avoid these poisons. Geez, so many poisons. This item is called the Rod, and this is a key item for maina. So we'll need that later. And that's the way that maina is able to manipulate the blocks in the dungeon. Over here, we are now officially in Zemin's area. Grabbing this key will give us 10 keys. That's very useful. And you want to push this block one over, jump on top of this one and push it down. Then we can push it over to the left. Now there's a false block right above us. So we want to push this one up to about that point. Watch out for another false block there. Now that move, you want to jump, and right before you hit the block, you want to hit to the right so that you slide it right instead of moving it up. And we're going to do the same thing at the top there. We want to move that one block a little bit more up, and if we turn off the glove, that will make sure that we don't make any mistakes here. Take out that meta black enemy. And there's actually a hidden hole in the ceiling here. Now this is a real treasure chest, but there's a fake treasure chest on top of it. So you need to kill the fake treasure chest enemy, and that's going to give us the power boots, which is a pretty awesome item that will let us take out enemies without using up our magic points. Instead, we can kind of Super Mario them by jumping on their heads. Now you can move that block to the right. If you mess up, just go back to where the power boots were. Leaving the screen will reset the blocks. So if you mess up any of your glove moves, just look for a place to reset the blocks by leaving the screen. And you need to move this one to the right, so jump and then press to the right whenever you're about to land. Come down this ladder and push this block to the right. That treasure chest above us is just a bread and we can't access it from this area. So head over here, and I'm going to stay at the inn here just to refill my life a little bit. We have a lot of money, and money is not going to be very important for almost anything other than staying at the inn, so don't worry too much about it if you have as much as I do. Now over here you want to press the block up and to the right so that it moves upward, and then push through here, come over and press this one down, and then we can slide it to the right. And this one's supposed to help us get through these spikes, but it's really easy to just kind of walk through them anyway, so I don't really want to waste my time with it too much. Alright, now this one you need to slide up and to the left. If you mess it up, you'll need to leave the screen and reset it. Then head down here. Destroy this enemy. His name is a Derudo, and that guy's actually called a wizard. And here's a block puzzle here. So we want to jump and slide this one to the left. So jump, and right before we land, we want to touch left. Now we'll come down to the bottom, and we can come up here and push this block over to the left, and then jump and push that one to the left, and jump and push this one to the left. Come on up to the top, and we're going to be able to jump on top of this one and slide it to the left. So just carefully jump and slide, jump and tap it right before you land to slide it over to the left, and climb this ladder to the top and push over to the right, and you'll slowly be able to descend here. You'll use a key to go through that door, and we're going to jump and slide this block. So right before you land, you want to tap to the right, and that's going to allow you to stay on the block and ride it, sort of. All we want to do is get down to the bottom of the screen here. That's actually a fake treasure above us. Down here, you'll want to take out these golem enemies. Head over to the left. When we get to the top platform here, there's going to be a false block 4 over, so jump over that 4th block. You don't want to fall into a hole there. And head over to the right, and you're going to take a jump here right at the treasure chest, and grab a magic bottle, and then hold to the left so you don't end up in the spike pit. If you do, make sure to exit the spikes on the right and just climb up and try to do it again. Trying to get out on the left will almost certainly lead to a lot of damage or death. Keep heading to the left, take out these Roman enemies, and use your glove to push this block here. And this is the most dangerous part of the entire run. You need to push this block down, and then you need to slide it to the right by jumping and at the last second pushing to the right. If you mess it up and you slide it to the left, you'll be stuck down here, and the only way you can get out is to reset the game. So I hope you have your password. Once you get down here, you can just push this block all the way to the right and then come down to the left. But yeah, that's the scariest part of this entire game. Down here we have another glove puzzle. So what we want to do is push this top block over to the left, and then push the bottom one over to the right and then up a couple spaces. We're going to need to use that block to get up to the higher ledge. So go under it and push it up twice. And then we can just push this one out of the way, come up on this upper level, move over to the right, and you can jump onto this block and push this one over and then push it down. Now we want to jump onto it and then just push it down one more. It'll make the jump a little bit easier actually. And jump over here and push this one to the middle. Then we'll come back the way we came and get back up to the top ledge and push this block all the way to the right. So use your glove. If you need to jump onto glove blocks, but you don't want them to move, it's important to just unequip the glove sometimes, so don't be afraid to unequip the glove whenever you need to make an important jump, like right here. I'll just unequip it, jump over, and then equip the glove again. That way we won't accidentally move this block. We need to push this one up and to the right. So yeah, slide it up, jump onto it, and then we'll turn off the glove and jump around and get all the way onto the upper level here. Take out this slime enemy, and we can just ride this block over to the right, so use our glove, jump, and right before we land, press right, and then we just need to push over to the right. Now there's some false blocks here that you may not expect. It looks like we can just go up to the top and it'll be easy, but nah, we want to move these blocks into position first. So turn off the glove to jump on top of them, and then move that one up. And we want to get to the top level here, so that's the goal. Take out this slime and head over to the right, push this block out of the way. And we can just push through the wall here. There's a lot of false blocks. And we will come down here to another block puzzle. This one is not very difficult. We just want to get to the lower left corner of this checkerboard pattern. So you want to push the blocks to the right when possible. Remember that your gloves only really push blocks. They're not good for pulling blocks. There is a way to actually kind of pull a block, but you need to have a scroll and it kind of exploits a glitch. It's all kind of stuff like that, but it's very easy. Just kind of move the blocks along, and you can push this one all the way up to the ladder because there's a false space above it. Now, this bridge that you see above us is all false blocks. So we're going to have to use our gloves to get ourselves through here. What we want to do is set up this first block so that we'll have a stepping stone when we get over to the left. So push this one all the way to the left and as high up as you can. And then we're going to come back over to the right, push this one through just a couple spaces so that we can get behind it, and then push it back the way we came. And then we want to move this one up and position it as high as we can against this pillar on the right. So then we can just drop off the pillar and land on the rock. And we're going to use our gloves to slide ourselves to the left. So we're going to jump, tap left, jump left, jump left, jump left. Oh, we have to hold A when we're doing this too, or it doesn't work. So jump left, and then we can push this block over, I think. Jump left, to the left, yep, jump onto this one. Just push that one over, move that one out of the way, and then we can push down this ladder, and we have cleared out that block section. There's a little false wall there. This is actually an enemy. You want to tap him and then attack him with your magic. Then slide these blocks over to the right. Slide them to the right. And that will clear out the ladder. And it looks like we want to jump and slide this one to the right also. But that's not actually what we want to do. You can walk right through those stalactites and then just push it to the left. Below me is an important treasure chest. Now, how do we get that? We want to come over here right above the shop. There's an empty space and a false block. Grab that. That's the mattock, and the mattock is a key item for Lil. Now, with the mattock, Lil will be able to destroy rocks. So the same kind of rocks that we can move using our gloves, Lil can destroy those with the mattock, with the only downside being that the mattock actually costs magic to use, while the gloves are free. Now, down in this pit, you can get a special scroll. Now, it looks like there could be something good over here to the left, but there really isn't. So you want to come back the way that you came, and you need to push through these glove blocks right here to the right. So push through those, it's kind of tricky. Alright, we did it. And we just want to head past all of these enemies and hurry to the right. Don't worry too much about taking damage. There's going to be a treasure chest here which will refill our life. Head up through the door and down the ladder, and in this section you need to push this block over to the left and then just jump and hold down the button, and you should just kind of move all of the blocks. So go over here, move that one out of the way, jump, hold the button, and when you get to the bottom of the screen, just go down the ladder to move any blocks out of the way and reset them. And you just have to keep doing this. There's so many of these rows. You may need to clear some enemies at the top of the screen before you can actually get it moving. And this area is just designed to gate it off from other characters. So remember how Lil can destroy these blocks with the mattock? Well, it would take magic to be able to destroy the blocks for Lil, so it would be very difficult for her to get through here. It would take a ton of magic points. The idea is to keep any character except for Zemin from getting through this section easily. Head over here to the left. You can just push right past the inn. I'm going to use it to refill my life and magic. And I'm also going to equip the power boots. There's no reason not to. They can help us conserve magic by being able to kill enemies without actually shooting them. I probably shouldn't move that block over, so just go down the ladder, clear it out of the way, and head over down into this section. Now that's a mimic, it's a fake treasure chest. So we need to just keep moving to the bottom here, push through a false block, and then we need to get back up into the middle now. Now just stay up in the middle section and move all the way to the right. And all the way at the end of this section, there's a false block, and we'll be able to get down to the bottom, go through the key door. You just want to kind of move to the left in this section. Don't worry too much about the spikes unless you have very low life. They don't deal a lot of damage, and there's going to be an inn right ahead of us, so if you need to use the inn, make sure to do it. It's right there. But you're just going to keep moving back over to the right. Now, if you ever see that cross item, that just destroys all the enemies on the screen, which is nice. A lot of times you'll just find a bunch of good prizes lying around after you clear them. Head over to the right through this corridor. If you want to take a little bit of a risk, you can bounce up and down on these spikes and get over to the left and grab this treasure chest, which is going to be an elixir. An elixir is a cool item If you have it equipped and you run out of health, it will completely refill you instead of you dying. Pretty useful item, the elixir. Jump down into the spikes and push over to the left with your gloves to move this block. We're going to use it as a stepping stone to get up onto this block, which it looks like you should be able to just jump and slide to the left, but you end up off the screen, so you need to push it down one space first. So then slide it to the left, and when you get it to this spot, just walk off to the left onto that next ledge, and use the in if you are low on health. Close enough, I'm going to use it. We are very close to the boss here, so I'm going to change up our items. We need to make sure we have the elixir, and the power fist, and also the gloves. So don't forget the gloves. The power fist is also important. The elixir is not mandatory, but I think it's going to be useful to have just in case. So head over here to the left, and we want to climb this ladder. We want to climb it all the way to the top. The crown is going to be over to the right, but we need to cross this area first, so press through here to the right, but stay off of the yellow floor, and try to avoid the areas with a single block in the ground. Those are holes, like this one right in front of me. Now jump onto this next pillar. It's tricky here. If you end up in these spikes to the right, you want to get to that pillar where the inn is to the right, and you can get stuck here. So what you want to do is pause the game, and then jump right after you paused. That will help you get out of the pit. Now if you're still stuck on those spikes, pause again and jump out again. I probably should not have used the inn here because there is a bread right up here to the left, but if you didn't change your items for the boss yet, make sure you do it at that inn. That's the last one. And you want to fall through the floor right here. Jump onto this block in the bottom of the screen. Don't fall below it for sure. You'll have to repeat a bunch of stuff. And slide it over to this position. Turn off the glove and jump onto these blocks here. And then turn it back on, and you want to push over to the left. Push over to the left. And we need to get to that treasure chest up and to the right. And we can position a block, this one here, very easily. Turn the glove off. And this is it. We found the first crown. And now we will be warped off to fight the first boss. This boss is called Terratunes. You can cancel out its magic attacks by attacking with your magic attacks, but all you really need to do is get close to this guy, switch to the power fist, and attack it a couple times. He goes down very easily. Now, no matter which crown you get first, that will always be the first boss. So that's why we did Zemon's area first. That area is very long, very difficult, and if you would fight the hardest boss after completing that section and just get killed very quickly, it would be so frustrating. So that's why I advocate for doing Zemon's section first. Now we're going to choose Lil. We have her Matic, so we're going to equip that. We're also going to equip the power boots and a crystal. And you want to head back to the area where the dragon is, so that we can go over into Lil's section. And we're going to get some important items here. You'll notice right away when you play as Lil that she can jump very high, but her attack is very weak. And that's why I like to use the power boots with her. The power boots can jump and attack the enemies by stomping on them, and that makes her much more effective in combat than her standard magic abilities. Use the Matic to break these rocks, and head over to the left. At the end of this tunnel, we're going to find a treasure chest, and inside there will be another crystal item, but we'll need to get some leverage off of this snake, so jump on top of it and jump up. Make sure you don't have your power boots equipped when you're doing that. Be careful not to get caught in the spikes. If you get stuck down there, use a pause jump to boost your way out, so just pause the game and jump as you unpause. And just head back the way that we came. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit, just come back the same way. And we're going to go to the right this time. Use your Matic to break these blocks and head over to the ladder. You'll need to do a little bit of fancy platforming here. You kind of want to jump on top of this skeleton enemy so that you can boost off of him, and it'll help you grab the ladder. Jump from the highest point here to reach this pillar, and keep moving to the right, watching out for the claw eye and killer bat enemies. Below you, you'll see the Dragon Slayer's sword, which is the item we'll need to get at the very end of the game to fight the final boss. But it's not just time for that yet, so you can grab a scroll and a treasure chest over here to the right. Avoid those other chests, they are enemies, and just keep making your way down, down, down to the bottom of the screen. Once you get to the room with the volcano, you want to make your way over to the left a bit, and there will be another hole in the floor. Down here, if you land on the spikes, a block will appear which will help you not keep bouncing on the spikes over and over again. And we can grab the wings. The wings are a very important item for Maina. Whenever she equips them, she will be able to fly, so that's going to be a key to getting through her section of the labyrinth. If we want to get one more optional item, we can boost off of this slime and head over to the left. This item is the fire rod, which will give us extra range whenever we attack. Once you get the fire rod, use a crystal to warp back to the house. I never really used the fire rod. The one thing that's useful with it is it's something that Pochi can actually equip, but otherwise, you're going to want to use the power fist, not the fire rod, whenever you're fighting bosses. And whenever we get in here, now we're going to choose Lil, and we're going to equip the same suite of items. The crystal, the mattock, and the power boots. And we're going to head back into the labyrinth to the room where the dragon is. Down here we can use our power boots and just keep killing any enemies that spawn and respawn over and over again until we build up however much gold we need. In this case, we need at least 95 gold, because there's one important item that we can't get in the labyrinth. We have to buy it in a store, and it's a hidden store too. So make sure you get at least 95 gold, and whenever you have 95, we're going to head down to the left into Maina's area, but we're going to be playing as a Lil. It's very important that we have the mattock, because we're going to break a hidden block which will reveal a secret inn, and then if we attack that inn, it'll turn into a store. So there's the inn and the shop. And for 95 gold, that's where we get the shield, and the shield is an item that can protect us from the projectiles that bosses shoot at us. The third and the fourth boss can be very difficult to beat if we don't have the shield. Continue deeper into Maina's area. There is one more item that we need to get before we use our crystal and warp out of here. It would be very difficult to get out of here without the crystal. Continue down this ladder. At the bottom, we're going to head to the left. We're going to need a decent amount of keys here, so if you run out of keys, you're going to have to kill whatever enemies are nearby to get more keys. Push through this door. Below you is a treasure chest with a food in it, which will refill your health. We will be coming back through this area several more times, so if you don't need the health now, then you should skip that treasure chest. Keep making your way to the left. The item that we're looking for is called the key stick, and the key stick allows Maina to go through doors without spending keys. Instead, she'll use a magic, which is much easier to refill. We just get infinite magic by going back to the inn. Push over to the left. You may need to kill these wizard enemies if you run out of keys. And all the way at the end, you're going to see a treasure chest. That's actually an enemy, so you need to kill it. It's a mimic. And next to the last block here is a secret hole. So just push through that false block, and there it is. That's the key stick. Once you have it, use your crystal and warp home. And now we can switch over to Maina, where we're going to get several more important items. So choose Maina, and we can equip all of her important gear. So we want to put on the wings. The wings are very important. We're going to also use the rod and the key stick. Grab maina, head back to the area where the dragon is. If you need to farm for a little bit of gold, it's nice to have at least 20-ish gold when you're in the dungeon in case you need to use the inn. But head over to the left and we're going to use that rod, and it makes the block go crazy when you hit it, so you need to kind of jump over the block. And we'll be able to drop down to the bottom here. I paused the game to avoid the fall damage. And just keep pushing to the right. Grab that money. We're going to probably need to use the inn several times here. Well, I would have liked to have not grabbed that poison. We're going to want to refill our magic, especially when we're playing as Maina. Maina is a very magic-intensive character. Now, we are essentially retracing the path that we just followed as Lil. So head down to the bottom, take out this lizard man in your way, and we can use our wings to fly over the spikes here. Now you'll notice while the wings are equipped, we start hemorrhaging magic, so you want to turn off the wings right away and switch over to the key stick whenever you go through these doors, so that we don't use up all of our keys, and instead we can use magic. Now there's a bunch of enemies at the bottom here. You can try to get over to the right and attack them as you push to the left. And this time we're going to take the middle path, going through this door with our key stick. And at the end of the middle path here, we're going to find another crystal item. So that's what we're trying to get here. We just want this crystal. So grab it, and then just head back the way that you came. The way that we actually need to go through this part is to go on the bottom path. You may need to use your wings here. It looks like I'm going to have to be very careful with my magic power until I get to an inn, because we're already getting very low. Head down to the bottom. Keep pushing over to the left, through any doors and wizards that you see, trying to avoid attacking them too much, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You'll notice that since my magic is low, the game will be giving me magic power-ups very often after I kill an enemy. Head down here into this section. In this area, it looks a lot like it's a dead end. This is a very sneaky room. What you actually have to do is head all the way over to the left and go down to the bottom tier here, and the fourth block over is a false block which takes you down into this lower blue cave area. I'm taking the bottom route here because there's a bunch of false blocks in the route above and you'll fall through. You need to touch this moo enemy, which is invisible at first before it becomes vulnerable, but then you can attack it. And I'm going to grab this special food from the chest here. I was very low on life and it's really going to come in handy right now. Head over here to the right and try to avoid this moo enemy. Looks like it got me anyway. And you'll notice that right above us is an inn. We'll need to travel to the screen above us and backtrack to the left to get there. But I'm going to try to avoid having to use the inn in this particular push through this section, because down here at the bottom I can use my rod to manipulate this block and try to get it to stop over on the left. And I'll grab this chest, which has a magic refill for me. Now once my magic is refilled, I'll use the rod again to move that block out of the way, and I can fly up to the top ledge, and I'll just keep pushing over to the right. Use my wings again to get over this section. I'm going to take the top route here and jump through the hole in the ceiling. You want to jump over near that ladder and then just keep moving over to the left a bit. Now this is the area where if we go all the way to the left, we can get to the inn on the bottom ledge. But what we want to do instead is jump up to the top and use our key stick to get through all of these doors. And at the end of this area, there's going to be a treasure chest, which we can open, and it will contain another crystal for us, which we'll be able to use later. If you fall through here, just use your wings, come up and grab the crystal, And we will need to use that crystal later. Good to get that one, don't forget it. Head back the way that you came. We still need to grab a couple more items here in Maina's area before we can warp out. So just make your way to the far right on this screen, and you'll want to be on the upper ledge of these 2 blocks at the bottom, and just try to jump to the right. These blocks are false in front of you, so you'll kind of fall into the spikes, but don't worry about it. You can use your wings here. We want to kind of cut through these, and if you need to use the treasure chest here, this will be another life refill. So grab the treasure if you need it. We will be coming through this area again, so you may want to save it for later. And drop down into this green section of the cavern. Now we want to push through the blocks and head over to the ladder and get up to the top tier, and then just keep pressing over to the left until we can't anymore, and then we'll use our wings to fly up and press over to the left again, right there, and then drop all the way down and follow the path along the bottom to the right. Over this way, there will be another treasure chest that has a life refill in it. I don't think I need it this time. I'll save it for later. Use your key stick to get through these doors, and then head on up to the ladder. Now in this room, we'll need to go all the way to the top. You'll need to use 1 key on that first door, but you can switch to the key stick after that and just press through all of these doors. And we're gonna get low on magic, so we are going to need to hit an inn fairly soon. Keep moving to the left, past these Mayu enemies, and you'll drop down to the bottom tier and head back to the left. Looks like I was able to grab a key since I don't have any. Go down this ladder, watch out for the enemies down here, and there's going to be an inn right over here to the right, but we'll need to get through a moo enemy first, so I'll use my wings to fly up. I'll need to tap this enemy with my body before he's vulnerable, and then I can attack him and get into the inn. I definitely needed the magic refill here, so that was certainly critical. Once I have my magic refilled, we're gonna head back down to the bottom, push on to the right. These enemies are called Cyclopses, which should be fairly obvious from their single eye. Push this block out of the way and use our wings. This is where you really need to be maina. It's hard to get through those single gaps with the spikes on the bottom if you're any other character. You can kill a moo here and you'll get a magic key, so we'll get 10 keys out of that, very handy. And take the left ladder here. I'm going to use my keys that I just got, and I'll just fly up here and take the middle path. And I guess I'll switch to the key stick, why not? Take out these doors, keep pushing, go to the lower path here, and push over to the left. We're trying to get to that ladder, so use your wings to fly up here and go up the ladder. I'm going to switch the wings off. Now if we use our rod here, we can just push this block out of the way, and then we can get up to the next level and just walk through the wall here. Now that chest up on the top, that is a food item for you, but you would probably have to go all the way around or use your wings to get up there. So if you need it, use your wings and fly up and grab it, but otherwise we're just going to push through here. If you fall between these pillars, just use your wings to fly and get out, and head over to the room on the left and up. And up here, take out this Cyclops and go past all these spikes on the bottom, and right over here, when you see the next set of spikes that appear on the screen, these ones right here, there's a hidden block right near the edge of those. So jump up through, and we're going to need to use our wings to fly over these spikes. So just fly on over those guys, and just keep flying. You're going to push up through the floor here, just push up, head over to the left, And there's a moo enemy here, so you'll touch it and then shoot it. And if you don't have a lot of magic, you may need to use the inn first, but we're going to fly all the way over to the left, where we will be able to get the armor item. The armor sounds like a very good item. It makes some of the characters like Zemin invulnerable, which would essentially make him like Pochi. The problem is, whenever you have the armor on, it depletes your magic, so you have to switch it on and off constantly. We will be using the armor later in the game, so make sure to grab it here, and then I'm going to use the inn so I can refill my magic and fly up here. Although, if you can hold out, you may want to wait to use the inn up here, because we need to manipulate this block with our rod. When it comes back, you want to jump and push it over to the right so that it stays on the right side. And in this inn, I need to change my equipment. I still need the wings. I definitely still need the key stick, but we need to equip a crystal now. Grab all of those three things, fly up to the top, and then use the key stick to start pushing through these doors. Push through the doors. Now, whenever you get to the first gap in the doors, there's going to be a moo enemy there. Make sure to just touch him, back up, and shoot him. These moos deal a ton of damage up here. So there it is, back up, shoot him. Keep going through the doors. There isn't one there, but there is one here. Shoot it, go through. And there's going to be another moo at the very end of this. So right here. And go through. You need to be very careful there. Use your wings to fly over the spikes, and grab these jumping boots, and then just warp out immediately. You do not want to walk back through all of those moos. There's a very good chance that you'll die doing that. Go back to the house, and we're going to switch to Lil. It's finally time to get Lil's crown, and now that we have the jump boots, we're going to equip those. We're going to get the Matic and the power boots as well. Head back to the room with the dragon and make your way to the path in the upper right to get back into Lil's area. Now, Lil's crown is actually fairly easy to get to with the items that we have. You'll want to equip your power boots because Lil's attack is very weak, and that's why we're having her get the second crown. The first two crown guardians are very easy to beat, but the second two are very difficult. And if we match up Lil with one of those other crown guardians, well, there's a good chance we'll die. So we want to use our jump boots here and make our way to the left, where we can grab a quick elixir. We'll need to jump on top of an enemy here to get out, even with the jump boots on. So that's what I'm going to do, jump off of an enemy. The jump boots do use up your magic, so you'll want to switch them off every so often when you don't need them. And we're just going to make our way over to the right, past the Dragon Slayer sword. And over here, we want to go up into this gray and pink area, and we'll use our Matic to break through the rocks here. So break through those rocks. There's a skeleton and a frogman enemy here. Take them out if you need to. And just keep making your way up and then back to the left, taking out any rocks in your path. And you'll climb up this ladder and make your way over to the left. Over here, there's going to be a room with just a ton of rocks in it. If you're starting to get low on magic, you may want to turn off your Matic as you jump around here so that you don't accidentally use it. You will need it to get through certain walls of rocks though, so make sure to keep it ready. Alright, break through these rocks, and at the very end here, there are some invisible platforms you can jump on. You can also just use your jump shoes, and there's a treasure chest here with some food for you to refill your health. So jump shoes up, and get down here. You need to use your jump shoes to jump up to this green platform, and head over to the left. I like to switch to the power boots here as I go through these enemies. Just keep making your way on the top row here. We're going to need to Matic our way through a bunch of rocks. So here we go, Matic through all of these rocks. And once we get past these, we are almost at the crown. So over here, there's some invisible blocks, and that treasure chest on the left, that's the crown, but it's actually tricky to get to. So we need to refill our health and magic and also change items here at the inn. I'm going to grab the power fist, and I'm going to also keep my matic and my jump shoes. So those are the 3 items that I want here. And I'm going to equip the jump shoes and jump back up the way I came, avoiding this lion enemy. So jump up the way I came. You can't go and get the chest from the left. There's a hidden platform there that'll block you. So what you need to do is get up on this green platform here and matic up through these rocks. Hit the one at the top on the left, and then I'm going to turn off the matic so I don't mess it up, and jump up here and then just push over to the left. And we need to keep our momentum, so push off here and then jump over these 2 false platforms, and that's a very difficult jump. So if you mess it up, you'll end up down here, and we can do a pause jump. So pause in midair, let yourself fall a little bit, pause again, and then as you unpause, hold the jump button in, and you'll jump out of midair. So if you mess the jump up, that's a little trick that you can use to fix it. That's a tough jump to do. And when you grab the crown, we'll be taken off to the second boss. This boss is named Erebone. You can counter his projectiles with your own, but whenever you get close to him, just put on your power fist and just start mashing your attack at him. He doesn't even deal you that much damage if you touch his body, which is very uncommon for a boss in this game. And that's it. That's the second crown. Now we're going to head back to the house, and we're going to switch over to Maina, and we're going to go get the 3rd crown. Get Maina, and we want to head back to the dragon, and we've already been through Maina's section already a little bit. We're just going to kind of speed through the first part, although there is something that I want to show you about partway through. So get the standard equipment for her, and we're just going to head over here to the left, past the rock, down, over to the right, and just keep heading down this ladder, cross through the doors, take the bottom route here, stay at the bottom, and take the ladder. There's going to be a hole in the floor here down to the blue caverns, and when we get out of the blue caverns, it looks like I'm really going to need to use that inn this time. So we're going to head over here to the left, and I want to show you a trick with this interesting inn. Now remember the previous time we went through this area, we went to the top row and we went through all of those doors so we can get the hidden crystal at the end. But this time I'm going to stay on the bottom. We're going to use our wings just to get across, and go down here to stay at the inn and refill all of my life and magic. Now, if you attack the inn sign, it's going to turn into a shop. And this shop sells elixirs and magic potions for some of the lowest prices in the entire game. So if you needed any of that stuff, this could be a good place to get it. Also, avoid that treasure chest. It's a mimic. Now, just head back the way that you came, back over to the right, and we're going to continue the same route that we did before. So fly up here, head down through the green cavern, up the ladder, over to the left, all the way to the left, down at the bottom, head to the right. Now I didn't get this treasure chest before with the food, so I'm going to grab it. We are not going to be coming back this way. I'm going to go top level here, go through all these doors, keep pushing to the right, head down to the left, and then hit the inn over here past this moo. Keep going the same way that we went the previous time. I'm going to take the upper route here and fly across. Take the left ladder, go through these doors. Now I didn't get this treasure chest the last time either, so I'm going to refill my magic using it. And we're going to take the bottom, go to the ladder, up here, go across. Remember that treasure chest has food if you need it. And up here, we're going to go through the floor near the spikes. Head all the way up to this ladder. And this is the last room that we went to in the previous run with Maina. So this time we're just going to use the key stick, and we're not going to go to those doors at the top. Nope, we're going to head down, and there are a lot of inns here. So if at any time you get low on life or low on magic, there should be an inn within a few inches of you. So you drop through the floor here, head back to the right. You can use your wings to get over these spikes without taking damage. Watch out for the moo enemies. You'll need the wings down here at the bottom as you cross the single gap spikes. And there's going to be more of those moo enemies down here which will damage you. So be ready for them. Make sure to touch them, then just back up and attack. Use your wings here to get across these spikes. And then there's going to be an inn right here. I'm going to use it since I got depleted going through all of those enemies and spikes. And you're just going to keep making your way to the left once you get out of here. There's going to be another moo enemy right near the end of the inn, so that's damaging. But head down the ladder. And this is kind of annoying. You need to hold A in the previous room and then drop down and push that block. While the block is moving, it's going to like damage you a couple times. And then you can start using your key stick to get through all these doors. And inevitably you'll have to hit this block again. And then key stick through the doors. Very annoying, gotta wait for it to stop first. And then push it again, and you can use your wings to get across here. So just go across with the wings. And head down through this narrow corridor. Now at this point, we are almost to the crown. So down here, we're going to want to use the inn, but first we need to clear out a whole bunch of doors over here to the left. So wait to use the inn. These invisible enemies are called Kimus. Watch out for them. You'll probably touch them first and then you'll be able to attack them. There's one following me right now. Very annoying. And just make sure you get all of these doors cleared, but don't go down the ladder. We need to go back to the inn and change up our weapons. Take that Kimu. Looks like we got a scroll, that'll help for now. You do not want to fight the boss with the scroll still active though. It will actually make your projectiles move faster, and the way this game calculates damage, that will actually make them do less damage to the boss, because it's like damage per second. Once you stay at the inn here, we need to change our items. This third boss is one of the more difficult ones, so we need the shield, we need the power fist, and we're still going to need the wings to fly out of this little area here. So use your wings to get up out of the hole where the inn is, and head over to the right. Took out that Kimu with the power fist. And we're not going to waste all of our magic now, because all of these doors have been removed. These Roman enemies will be in your way, but as soon as you grab the crown, you'll be transported off to fight Archwinger. Make sure that your shield is equipped, as Archwinger will be attacking you before you can even see it. You want to move across the top and get to this ledge here, and then whenever it gets close, change to the power fist and just light this guy up. Make sure to switch back to the shield after you kill Archwinger, because it will continue to attack you as it dies, and you can actually die during that part. And if you do, the bosses win all ties, and you'll have to start over with no crown. Head back to the house, and it's time to choose Zemin and get the final crown. We're going to choose the armor, the glove, and the power boots, and then make our way back to where the dragon is. And if you're thinking, didn't we already get a crown with Zemin? Yeah, we did, So we're going to use Zemin to get Pochi's crown, because Pochi can't deal a lot of damage since he can't equip the Power Fist. Now, if we would have Pochi fight the 4th boss, he would have a lot of trouble beating him, but Zemin can deal a ton of damage, so we're going to have a good time with him. We can use the armor to walk through these RU enemies, which we would normally need to be Pochi to get past. Using the armor will essentially make Zemin a stronger version of Pochi himself, but you want to make sure that you turn off the armor whenever you're passed through the enemy, so that you don't waste all of your magic. So make sure to turn off the armor, just keep pushing over to the left, and the great thing about doing this route is getting to Pochi's crown doesn't take very long at all. It's actually pretty easy, so if we do mess up on the boss, we won't have to go back very far, right? We won't have to redo the whole of Zemin's section, which is what the traditional route would have you doing. Now down here, we can grab this bread. Use a pause jump to get off the spikes if you're stuck in the spikes. That can definitely happen. It looks like I got a scroll, which will make this part easy. You actually need to pause as you fall before you hit that first ledge if you don't have the scroll. Otherwise you'll bounce off of it, so make sure to pause as you're falling there if you didn't have the scroll item like I do. Now keep heading over to the left here. I'm going to take out this guy with the armor, and up here on top we can use our gloves to manipulate this block. Now if we can slide it down here, it's possible to leap over onto it and then push it down and slide it to the right. Although it can be tricky to get on this block, so if you can't do that, that's okay. You can still make this jump over here without it, but it will make it a lot easier if you can slide the block up into this position over here on the right, and then just use it as a stepping stone. But if you can't do that, you're just going to need to jump from this platform to the next one up on the right. Just hold right and jump hard. It can be done. This will give you a bunch of money, but be careful if you don't have a lot of keys. It's hard to get keys in this room up here because the only way to kill these enemies effectively is to use your armor and just kind of walk into them. You'll want to be careful that maybe you have at least 3 or 4 keys before you go in there. 2 being the minimum. So if you have 2 keys before you go in here, you should be able to kill enemies and get the keys that you need. Now we want to head up and to the right, down here, and we're going to go to the inn, and we need to change our items because we're already at the boss here. We still need the armor. There is a mimic treasure chest monster above us that if it hits you, it deals 100 damage. And that's to kind of keep anybody but Pochi from going through this. But we're going to use the armor, and we're going to defeat him that way. So come up here. As soon as you get up in the next room, make sure you have your armor on, and that's him. That's the treasure. Now, there was a poison there. I'm just going to move to the left. Okay, it's out of the way. Now we want to jump on this enemy whenever it reappears, but we don't want the armor on. So right there while it's still a circle, and then we can bounce off of it. Now, if we don't do it quickly enough, it'll turn back into the mimic, and then we'll have a problem. But we need to use it as a little stepping stone while it's still in that circle form. This is the 4th boss. This boss is named Rockgea, and you need to use the shield, and then get down in this corner area, turn on the Power Fist, and attack it repeatedly. Do not forget to switch back on the shield after you kill him, because his projectiles can still deal you a ton of damage. You need to be very careful not to touch the boss, and while it looks easy when you do it correctly, it's very easy to mess it up and just take a ton of damage in seconds and die very, very fast. And that's it. That's the 4th crown. It's time to choose Roas and get the Dragon Slayer. So we need to equip a crown, the crystal, and the jump boots. Head back to the area where the dragon is. The Dragon Slayer is hidden within Lil's area, So that's why we brought the jumping boots. We're going to need to be able to jump up pretty high to get around in Lil's area. Head on in the upper right path. Watch out for this rock enemy and the snake kid. You'll notice that Roas's attack is very weak. It's just as bad as Lil's, but he doesn't have the same jumping height. Keep heading over. I'm going to use the inn here because I have a lot of money and there's really not going to be a lot of use for gold moving forward. So keep heading to the right. I'm going to need to equip the crown here so that I don't keep using magic points up whenever I jump with the jumping shoes on, and I don't want to equip the crystal because I'll use it by accident. So with the crown on, jump at this painting and push up, and you'll emerge over here. Now we need to go all the way to the bottom of the screen here, over near where we found the wings and the fire rod. So just keep going down to that volcano area, and when we get down there, we want to go to the gap where the wings are in the bottom, and we need to get one of these slime enemies to come over. So here we go, and jump off of him while using the jump boots. And that'll get us over here to the left, go into this painting. Now we're going to go into this painting and we need to hold left, hold left. You want to fall onto that green platform, and then jump in here, and there it is, the Dragon Slayer. Use the crystal to warp out. You do not want to walk out of the dungeon the way that it sends you out of there. It's very difficult. So we're going to head back to the house, change our equipment, and it's time to go fight the final boss. We're going to choose Roas, and we're going to equip our Dragon Slayer, the jump boots, and also the power boots. The legend of this game says that a long time ago, one of the Drosley family's ancestors was a wizard and had sealed the dragon Keela deep within the labyrinth below the family home. He was only sealing him down there because he was hoping that someday someone would be born who could finally wield the Dragon Slayer's sword, and that someone is Roas. So we're going to head down, we're going to go to where Keela has been at the crossroads of this adventure, and if we have our Dragon Slayer item equipped, as soon as we walk past the pillar on the left side of Keela, he will come to life, and it will be time to fight the final boss and fulfill the destiny of the Drosley family. Make sure your Dragon Slayer weapon is equipped and head over past the left pillar. The fight has begun. Now, you'll see both your health and Keela's health, and you'll notice that you won't see your magic meter anymore. We actually have infinite magic for this battle, so we don't have to worry about that at all. The way I like to attack Keela is as it backs up, I wait for it to land, and then I start jump and attacking the face. The face seems to lean forward a little bit more than the feet at the bottom of the screen, which you can also attack. So it is possible to attack the feet, and it is also possible to get in between the body of Keela and the fire that it spits. But this is the safest way. If you just keep attacking the head at range, it's very difficult for Keela to get off a fire shot that can hit you. The one that always catches me is I'll be trying to attack it while it's in the air, which I should not do. Instead, you want to wait until it goes all the way to the back of the screen. But if you're attacking it in the air, sometimes it'll stop and it'll blow fire right on you. So just wait for it to land and jump, attack the face, and just keep moving backwards and keep it at the farthest possible range of your weapon. Don't worry about it taking time. Just make sure that you don't get hit by the fire, and everything will be good. We're getting very close to finally destroying the dragon here. One thing you need to remember is that you do not want to touch the flaming bones of the dragon after it dies. That can actually kill you, and then you won't get credit for the win. Keep attacking it. It's almost dead. You can't change items or anything during this fight, so you can't use the power fist or an elixir or anything. You just gotta whittle Keela's health down to 0 and that's it. So yeah, don't touch those flaming bones. Wait until you get zipped out, and we can enjoy the cheesy ending. The family waits patiently at the ladder to the labyrinth. Will Roas emerge? Of course he does. He has completed the family's destiny and defeated the king dragon Keela. Then they'll just head back over to the house for a bit of a celebration. Even Pochi gets involved, shaking his little dog butt up on top there. I'm not sure if he can even jump that high. He may have had to use a pause jump to get up there on top of the house. And that's it. That's the end for the Drosley family. But before we go to the credits, I wanted to show you a really cool code that's included in this game. It's a debug mode code. You'll need a second controller to make this work, so you need to hold up right A and B on controller 2, and down left select and then press start on controller 1. If you did it right, you'll hear that tone. Now select Roas, and once you select him, you're going to take him over to the very first shop in the game, right here up next to the house. So jump up here and try to buy a crystal. Doesn't actually work. So come back out of the shop and head back into the house, and you'll see what we actually did. Instead of getting a crystal, we actually got a free set of armor. So that's kind of cool. Use Roas again, and this time equip the armor. Now go right outside the house and just waste all of your magic. So keep the armor on and just start firing off your weapon. And when you get down to your last little bit of magic, you need to stop and just wait for a little bit for the armor to deplete the rest of your magic, and then continue to wait until you hear a tone. So just wait, and once you hear it, you can go inside. Highlight this picture in the background and hold left on controller 2 and right on controller 1 at the same time, then press and hold B on controller 2 and A on controller 1. If you did it correctly, you'll hear a tone, and when you select a character again, you'll see you have 16 of every item except for the Dragon Slayer and the crown. Now, 16 is the most of any item that you can use, so pick whatever you want at this point, but that's not all this code does. If you head down into the dungeon, and you go over here and you pick up the very first chest over here on the right, the one that would normally have a magic refill in for you. You don't even need a key for this, it'll just open. Suddenly you'll have 109 keys. But wait, there's more. Now just keep heading over to the right, and we're going to go to that treasure before where we got the 50 gold. This time, we're going to have 109 gold after we get this chest. Oh, and if you die now, you just come right back to life. In fact, you'll come right back to life 128 times, which is essentially like having infinite life. Once you've entered all these codes, if you go back to the house and you mess around with the painting, you can actually do a sound test and listen to the different music in the game. And that's it. I hope this video helped you to finally defeat King Keela and completed the destiny of the Drosley family, even if they are called the Warzens for some reason in this ending. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and be sure to subscribe for more videos, because there will always be more dragons for us to slay, and that's why we'll be back next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.